So Scott, so good to have you. Scott is a friend, a mentor, and I always butcher intros, so I'm not gonna try to do a fancy intro or anything. But for those who don't know Scott, you are the co-founder of not one but two marketing companies that are phenomenal and doing really great. But most remarkably, you've been a speaker more recently in the past few years, and you've been able to share the world stage with the likes of Gary Vee, Neil Patel coming up, if not already, and Alex Hormozy from AdWorld as well too, right?
Absolutely.
Year before.
Yeah.
You have an amazing story and journey. You're a master marketer. Helped me and our agency along the way this whole time as well too. Appreciate that. And we just want to, learn more about you. So could you dive a bit more into, how you got here in the past,
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, give me the background story.
For sure. Yo, Eric, so good to be here, my man. Like, it's really comforting hanging out with other Edmonton agency owners. I got to tell you that, because you're right. We do a lot of stuff around the world. Like, I honestly feel like I'm an internet marketer. Like, I work on the internet. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you start building community with people all over the place.
All over the world.
Right? All over the world. So like I go to different cities, I catch up with people here, people there, but it's nice to sit in our hometown. Like I just got goosebumps thinking about it with another fellow agency owner. I know we've both been at this for a while.
Yeah. And it's great I caught you because you're always traveling all over. And I'm like, Scott, are you in town? Yes.
Yeah. No, and it's just like to answer your question, a little bit of history, like the short version of it is I remember when our agencies just got started. I think we might have started a few years earlier, something like that.
Yeah.
But like we've been at this for like a decade.
I always looked at you as like the big brother agency. Like, I got to be like these guys, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right. But like when we first started, it was like 2011, 2012, and we were into content. It was like organic content could go a long way back in those days. Still can today with the right strategies, the right level of commitment. But like when we started, we were just helping people for the first time get on social media, get their first website built. Like, so there was like a big need for it. And I think over the years, we kind of evolved from just doing content to being more marketing focused. And like the true definition of marketing is helping businesses
grow,
get qualified sales leads, right?
Okay.
Grow. Getting like sales leads.
Yes.
And then when we had that frame of mind, we were like, well, what industry do we have the best skill at helping people grow sales? And we narrowed it down to a few. And of course, you know me, we landed on e-commerce.
Right.
And specifically, we're only working with Shopify stores.
Right.
Yeah.
Go back a little bit further. Why did you even decide to take the plunge into starting your own agency? Go further. Like what brought you up to that point?
Yeah, truthfully, I had like a lot of my best friends live in Toronto to this day, and they're all from here, right? So that was like the trend in my friend circle. It was like big ambitions, go to school, and then like move out to Toronto and get like some crazy job out there, right? Or do something cool out there.
Yeah.
With me, that was kind of my plan too. Honestly, I studied like psychology in university, then I went back and studied PR. And I was like, I'm gonna go get a PR job. That's what I was picturing in my 20s, right? I'm gonna go get a PR job out in Toronto. I'm going to work with like Hollywood, whatever it was, right? And then I kind of like, as I was studying PR, I took on a job at MacEwan University doing their digital marketing.
Wow.
And then I was always
in
the early days, like 2011 or 12, I was doing digital marketing for the Students Association at MacEwan. And I was always like pretty good at networking. So I started like a lot of other business owners who I knew were like, oh, Scott, you're the guy who does that marketing thing for the university. Can you do it for my business? So it was an accident. It was like an accidental entrepreneurship kind of thing.
It always seemed to happen that way.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you got 5 clients and I'm like, okay, I can't serve everybody equally, but I seem to be attracting a lot more. I need to kind of like build a team who can fulfill on this while we still grow like on the sales side.
Right. So then you're like, hey, let's take the plunge. Let's open up Socialite Communications.
Yes, Socialite.
Which is still running strong today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Socialite is, that's what I mean. It's the whole evolution of that company is, I brought on a partner and I'm like, hey, I'm pretty good at the sales and the networking side. I need somebody who can like build a team, run a team, build systems and do that kind of thing. So you bring on a partner and then the partner grows divisions. And like, today we're at over 30 staff. Like I think it's 30 to 35, somewhere in that range. I can't even keep up because we're heading into Black Friday season. And this is when we like staff up.
So I just want to touch on that point a little bit and something that you've helped me with in the past. When you hit those roadblocks, when you're building your company, I think you were really good at the outbound, the vision, the sales. And something you told me before is you need to bring in someone to help run the day-to-day, take care of the operations, someone who could play the COO role of the company. Was that something you felt like you were just at that part, bringing in a partner? Because not everyone brings in partners. Like, what made you at that point where you're like, hey, I have to get that help?
Man, that's a good question. And honestly, everybody's going to have different experiences with this. I've met a lot of people who are like, oh my goodness, never bring on a partner. They're going to burn
We
you.
hear it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna,
Especially with friends.
with friends, people like not aligned on the vision. And like, you know, for me, it was the opposite. I knew like as this accidental entrepreneurship thing was happening, I was like, I don't want to wear all these hats. That's so much burden, so much responsibility. I need to be stay in my lane, do what I'm good at, bring in other people who do what like they're good at. So I think I do think I got fortunate and lucky in the partners that I met. I have 2 business partners, right? I have Simon, who's our COO. So he
great guy,
oversees operations. Yeah. And then Kieran's like our CFO. And you know, he wears many other hats too. He's like more of a senior guy that I brought in to help with some of the business model and the finances and legal and all those kinds of things. But I think the key is you got to have people who like are really passionate about that function too. So like I'm kind of like the visionary, the big idea guy chasing down all the unknowns and the opportunity, but I like doing that. And then Simon, he likes operations. He likes systems. He likes like doing the boring things really well. I call it boring. It's like, you know, but he like enjoys that stuff. Yeah. So I think that was key, is just having people who are like, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm good at. That's what I'm good at. And I do think we got lucky with our partnership. Like I had like tried a few other partners that didn't work out, but it took about a year and a half.
Okay, so there were some failures along the way with people.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. With social communications, I believe you were doing a little bit of everything at once. What kind of made you to that point? You know what? We're really good at this one thing, and let's stick to this one thing. Was there a aha moment about that? And like Shopify is the way to go. E-com is what we're going to focus on, and that's it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I was telling you with like, we had that moment where we're like, we don't want to just do like tactics. We don't want to be like lever pullers. Like, what do you need? What do you need, client? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We wanted to bring the strategy, bring the solution. And that meant like bring the revenue opportunity to them, right? So when we had that mental shift, that's when we were trying things like lead gen. We're doing lead gen for big B2B companies. And we were also doing like lead gen for health clinics. And then we were doing e-commerce, and we only had like, out of the 30 to 40 clients we probably had about 5 to 10 that were e-commerce, but we saw the opportunity with it. We were like, you know, we could sell worldwide. We could get clients from anywhere. We don't need to work with just Alberta companies. We can like really expand with e-commerce. It's like the most internet kind of creative.
Internet marketing.
Right?
A lot of agencies fall into this. We'll do everything for anybody and for any price, right? I think focusing on that one narrow vision and niche and solution really helped you really scale.
It did. And let me tell you, man, that was a scary thing in the business. Cause like as a visionary, as a person who has this idea, I'm like, we're going to go and travel the unknown waters. We're going to go battle through the storms and we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then like, not everybody sees that same vision. So it sounds like they're like, is this Scott with another shiny object? Is he getting like distracted? And like, is this the right thing to do? So I remember when I was telling everybody, this is what we're doing, it was kind of like a shock to the system. I even had like, one of my partners was kind of like, what the heck? Like, is this, we've been building this other thing for so long. And like everybody was on board, but questioning it and like not as bought into the vision as you are. You have that ultimate duty to have the most conviction if you're going to go after it. Right.
Yeah.
But I think eventually it was like, you saw it happen almost overnight. We got fortunate that we did it like right before the lockdown. So like, but as soon as we made the niche, we saw a lot of our existing clients be like, what do you guys do? And walk away. But then we started attracting. Like as soon as you say, I only help Shopify stores,
they come to you.
Every Shopify store you meet, you're part of the conversation. They come to you.
So this evolved into Merchant Mastery. So Merchant Mastery is a whole new program service to help Shopify store owners worldwide. And it's really blown up. I think that's been the one that we've seen everywhere and got you on stages across the world. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like when we make the decision to be an e-commerce agency, there's like a really refreshing thing because suddenly you're going to know this. Like, back in the day, we would depend on referrals, contacts, networking. That's how we got business.
Yes.
As soon as you have a niche, there's a different opportunity in front of you. Yeah. And you could start thinking about how to get in front of them as well. Like where are Shopify stores hanging out? So we would start doing like webinars with Shopify. We would teach on Klaviyo, teach on Privy. And we were attracting a whole bunch of conversations. But what we learned from doing that is like, okay, it worked. Like we know the niche. We're going to get in front of them. They're going to come talk to us. But then we started to learn not everybody's ready to hire an agency.
Right.
Like, and you would know this, if somebody's not ready to hire an agency, there's a lot at risk for them. They're like gambling their future away on you. So we're like, we don't want to be in the like more like remortgage your home business.
Yeah.
We want to be in the, we'll help you when you're ready. So then we said though, but everybody,
how do you get them ready?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you get them ready? The opportunity is at our doorstep. People are showing up and they're like, we want to work with you. Doesn't make sense to the agency. So we were like, let's teach them. Let's just teach
I love
people
that.
how to do it.
Yeah. So I've seen the testimonials. You've helped people go from zero to super successful Shopify store and just crushing it. And they followed the course, the program, your team, and they're there. They get there.
We had
It's life changing for them.
Like it's happening every day. I had a merchant reach out to me yesterday that she went from 8,000 when she joined to $91,000 last month in like 6 or 7 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Tell us about speaking. You've been on stages everywhere across the U.S. What was one of the ones that you remember the most, and what was something that stood out to you out of all the places you've been to?
Yeah, you're right. I am doing a lot, right? Like there's some upcoming events like with Tony Hawk and Neil Patel coming up, and I've spoken on stage with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh wow!
Like all these different.
Did you
ones.
watch the Arnold documentary?
I haven't yet.
It's a
but
great
I love
one.
Arnold.
Yeah.
I love Arnold, right? But I think the one that sticks out to me the most was like the first big stage I ever did. And that was the one you were talking about. Like I was on an event with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And I remember like
New York City?
I was in New York City.
Yeah.
I was in New York City. And I was like,
you nervous?
I was very like ambitious and going after it, but also really nervous. Right? Like really nervous. Cause I was like, that was how the mindset shift. I'm like, now I got to go speak. Once you're in a niche, you're like, I got to go speak. I got to go speak everywhere because now I can like, I know where my customers hanging out. So I was like, I need to go do all these speaking gigs. And I just like knew that was my duty.
Right.
But I remember like I landed the opportunity. They invited me. And then I just remember being in like Manhattan. We're in Times Square. We're at this Marriott. It's like packed. There's like 1,000 people in the room. And I remember like an hour before I was going
You're scared.
on,
You had the butterflies.
Like,
you're like, oh no, what am I doing?
I literally was like, what did I get myself into? Like I literally was asking myself that. And I went back to my room and I put on like Eminem, Lose Yourself.
Wow, okay.
I have a video of me like in there.
That's your pump up music?
It's not usually, but I feel like it was like, it's your shot. Do not miss your chance to go. Like I was like, I usually listen to Drake. It's like Wake and Drake before a conference day.
I like that, Wake and Drake.
You got to get into that little ego.
The zone.
The zone,
The
like
zone.
your alter ego, right?
Yep.
Your alter ego. But I think like with that day, I was listening to the Eminem. I'm like, knees weak, arms are sweaty. I was like really feeling that.
But when you got on stage, were you okay?
Did
it go away or?
No, it's like I usually have a good ability to just bring that energy out. So you're right. As soon as you get past the first like 30 seconds, you start to feel more comfortable. And nowadays, I feel like it's like my workplace. Like I feel like when I'm on a stage, I'm like, yeah, this is my zone of comfort.
Right.
Like once you're up there and starting, there's always like a little bit of.
What I really like about that is you take that discomfort zone, something that everybody has something scared of. And now you turn that in, you've conquered that fear and you've turned that into your new comfort zone.
Man. Okay, so this is like to define my belief in business, my philosophy. And I tell this to people like almost every day. If I'm not scared, like I'm not growing.
Right.
So I like chase fear. I chase fear.
I like that.
And when I was doing those presentations, I was like, yeah, it makes me nervous. I like it. It means I'm growing. And now like those same early opportunities, I'm not as scared of those. But now I'm trying to get more scared of something else. Yeah.
So that means you're growing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's next for Scott on the business front of things? What's new? What's coming up here?
Yeah, we're expanding merchant mastery. We launched like a graduate program for like advanced merchants, right? The agency's been, it's been really good. We're going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. That's always like the busiest time of year.
Yeah.
So we're expanding merchant mastery, doing a little bit more of like graduate training for advanced merchants. And the thing that we are doing in the new year, you heard it here first, folks, but we are going to be doing a certified partner program to help e-com professionals and consultants. So we're going to train them on how to get clients and how to service like their own.
How to train the trainer kind of thing?
It's kind of like how to get a job in e-commerce or how to get clients in e-commerce. So
amazing.
Yeah, we're going to help more practitioners.
Okay.
Yeah.
So train the agents. If you want to become an agency or how to do what you're doing,
exactly.
Train them.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that a lot. You get that question every day, right? I get that all the time.
The demand is there.
I want to create a creative marketing agency. What do I do? How do I get started? How do I find clients? That's the biggest thing.
The demand is there. We're basically get that question asked like every month, almost weekly.
If you had to go back now, looking at your awesome journey over the past 10 years or so, what is one thing that you would have changed if you could go back and do it now?
Yeah, I feel like when we first opened our doors, and I know you're going to relate to this, my fellow agency friend, right? Like I would go back to just not, we used to say, do you need digital services? We could do anything. SEO, PPC. Do you need email marketing? Do you need website design? We could do it all, right? I think what happens is you don't get amazing at anything if you're doing too much. So I would just narrow it down to one avatar. Like what avatar has a problem that we can solve come up with a solution to solve that problem and get them a result. It's not about getting the work done.
Right.
It's about getting them an outcome.
And if they get the outcome that they want, life-changing, work-changing, whatever the case is, then they win, you win, everybody wins.
And you get that outcome, and other people like that avatar, like, ooh, I want that outcome too. Right. So that's kind of what happened with the Shopify space is we just got amazing at getting Shopify sales. We obsessed about it.
Right.
And
I like that, obsessed. You can't just be like interested, and you got to be obsessed about something to really get the results.
Going like a mile deep
right.
and an inch wide instead of a mile wide and an inch deep, right? So we're going like really deep on e-com sales for Shopify store owners. We kick butt at it. It's like, that's what I would have done from day one is chose an avatar, chose a solution, obsessed about it, got amazing at it, got predictable results for everybody like that avatar.
Right. So looking back 10 years ago, if you would have picked the avatar first upfront, you might have skipped the past few years of, or first few years of learning and just dive deep into that.
Absolutely. Like I always think about that. I'm like, what would I do differently if I was starting an agency tomorrow? Pick an avatar, obsess about the solution, get everybody the outcome that's like that avatar.
Be results driven.
Yeah.
Show them the result. Out of the business world and everyday life and traveling, and I know you're traveling all the time. I know you're a busy dad as well. How do you balance work life, day to day while traveling, spending time with a family?
Being a dad is like my favorite job. Right? I know you're a fellow dad.
Yes.
It's the best thing. So like I carve out time. I do travel a lot, but I've narrowed it down to like, I've been doing like 2 trips a month lately, but I'm trying to just do 1 trip a month, 3 nights maximum. I get home every day at 5:30. I spend time with my daughter until she's in bed. Anything that I need to do in the evening, I'll do once she's in bed.
Right.
And
it's carving out that time.
Yeah. And it's like things I shouldn't be working on. You got to kind of have to find team members to help you with a lot. So like, getting really good team members that, you have to have a big vision to attract good team members. So like have the big vision, attract the good team members, share the responsibility. And then you can have time for your family.
Right. I know family's so important to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, once wrapped up here, is there anything else you want to leave us with, to wrap us up with?
I think that's it, man. Like I teach this to our e-commerce clients too. I'm like, obsess about one avatar that your product is going to change their life and they will love you the most, and it will lead to them spreading the word. So I think that's my takeaway. I'm a big avatar guy. Right. I'm a big solve a specific problem for a specific avatar guy. If you could do that as an e-commerce store, as an agency, as any kind of business, I
think that relates to every business, just like you said there.
Totally. Yeah. Like the opportunity will follow.
Yeah. Know who you're speaking to.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. I know your time is super busy and valuable. So yeah, appreciate it.
Cheers, Eric. Yeah. Off to New York tomorrow morning.
Amazing.
So we're doing a conference there, hosting a Shopify bootcamp on Sunday. And yeah, it's going to be exciting.
That's awesome. All right.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.